In this video we're going to talk about Brentford versus Manchester United and United's 4-0 defeat.
Those players, I think, to be fair, we've told the story of them now for 12 months.
Obviously last season Man United finished 7th in the Premier League. So yeah, obviously a lot has been said about the players over the past year, how they've performed. Because, you know, a team like Man U, they should be finishing obviously a lot higher than 7th.
Manchester United in the past, in the last 10 years, have always answered the fans' anger through money and spending in the transfer market. The problem is now no one wants to take the money, and that's a massive issue.
And maybe no one wants to come here at the moment.
Well, that's what I'm saying, no one wants to take the money.
Yeah, with Manchester United, obviously they're the biggest club in England, so they have a lot of money, they're big spenders traditionally speaking, but obviously now they'll always have some sort of a pull because of how big of a club they are, but equally a lot of players now kind of turning their backs away from Man United. They don't want to go there because of the state that the club is in right now, like getting slapped 4-0 by Brentford, etc.
If you're a player watching that performance in the first half, what are you thinking about coming to this club? You know, it's a great football club, it's a magic football club, but at this moment in time, there's no leadership, there is no voice.
Obviously Man United are a club with a lot of prestige, you know, as I said before, but with everything that's going on with the squad, despite their stature and size as a club, it's not really taking them to where they want to be.
And this week, honestly, they're going to get peppered, those players. The coach, the sporting department, the new CEO, they're all going to get peppered.
Yeah, obviously the players are probably going to take a lot of flack subsequent to their 4-0 defeat against Brentford. But that's part of the business, unfortunately. Like, you're going to come under a lot of scrutiny, a lot of pressure when things aren't really going to plan.
Well, I'm not going to go at the players, but I'm saying, but they have to take responsibility. When you're a player, do you think, oh, I wonder what John Glazer's doing tomorrow? I wouldn't care less.
How many times
you have to do better for the team when you play.
Yeah, to be fair, if you're playing for a team like United, the players should do better than a 4-0 loss against Brentford. But then at the same time, a lot of people point the finger at the owners, the Glazers, saying they haven't really done much to help the club get to where they want to be.
They've proven they can't handle it, these players, so they needed to have a good transfer market. They've not had a good transfer market.
Yeah, obviously the players underperformed last season, finishing 7th. And yeah, they did need transfers to come in. The players that they're left with currently aren't really at the level, even though on paper they should be, they're not.
Jamie, they took 24 million quid out of the club about 2 months ago. We've got now a decrepit, rotting stadium that is, to be fair, second rate when it was the best stadium in the world 15, 20 years ago.
It's kind of peak for them because, yeah, Old Trafford used to be a fortress. You know, the attendance is, I believe, 75,000. But yeah, the fact that now Gary, obviously a big United fan and former player, saying that it's just sort of rotting, it's no longer the stadium that it once was. Everything about that club just seems to be falling apart. They're kind of like a shadow of what they were in the past.
Well, they've had failure for 10 years at Manchester United. The club is rotting. These owners, since Sir Alex Ferguson, have proven in 10 years they cannot manage a forward-thinking football club.
Ever since Sir Alex Ferguson left in 2012, yeah, the club has never really been the same. You know, they've had different managers, Louis van Gaal, Jose Mourinho, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and most recently Erik ten Hag. However, nothing's really seemed to click. I mean, they had that one season with Mourinho where he finished 2nd, but generally speaking, hasn't really worked out since Fergie's departure in 2012.
When Sir Alex Ferguson was a manager, he was happy to work for them. You were happy to work for them. They weren't quite so bad.
No, Jamie, I was a footballer at the club and I would die for this football club.
Exactly. So why don't these players here do the same thing then? What's the difference?
I guess over time, Man United have just sort of regressed in the sense that the players that they have now are just not really comparable to the players that they had before. You know, before they had the likes of Rooney, Neville, Tevez, etc. The players that they have now just aren't really up to the level.
There has been a toxic culture and atmosphere created at the club over a 10-year period without its leader, Sir Alex Ferguson. We're now seeing what's happening, and it's a mess, and it cannot continue to go on. It can't.
Post Sir Alex Ferguson, Man United, they've obviously, you know, gone downhill, not really the same club that they once were. It's kind of crazy to think that they go from being by far the best team in England, the most dominant team in England, now fast forward a decade and they're just nowhere.
Manchester United need £1 billion in this next 2-3 years to either rebuild or renovate that stadium. They probably need another £500-600 million for training ground, another infrastructure project and football investment. They've only got £40-50 million cash left in the bank. Something is going to have to give.
Yeah, obviously it's a bit of a difficult situation for United in terms of their funding because, you know, they have only a certain amount of money to spend and yet the amount that they need to spend far exceeds that. So it's going to be kind of difficult for them to manage funds and, you know, spend in the right areas. But if they get it wrong, it's just going to further hurt them.